Prophecies play a very important role in the religious world, including the religion of Islam. Now, there are various events that have occurred which, according to Islamic theology, are actual fulfillments of prophecies mentioned in the Muslim holy book, the Quran. Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome back to FTD Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton, and this episode is going to feature passages from the Quran and the prophetic events that are said to be the fulfillment of those prophecies. So let's jump into it right away. We have fingerprints coming up at number 10, and that passage goes as follows. Their skins will bear witness against them so as to what they have been doing. And that's found in Surah 41 verses 21 of the Quran. So of course we can see in our world that the fingerprint system is being used currently when people travel through borders. Well, there's not much traveling through borders right now given the whole self-isolation thing, as well as it's used in criminal investigations. So Muslims see this and say, well, yeah, the fingerprints testify against them, so this is a fulfillment of that prophecy. Next up at number 9, we have the establishment of Israel. So this one is pretty interesting. And this passage goes as follows. And after him, we said to the children of Israel, dwell ye in the promised land, and when the time of the promise of the latter days come, we shall bring you together out of various people. And we currently now have the established nation of Israel. While a lot of people don't consider Israel to be a country, it still is recognized as a legitimate country by nations like the United States. As well as there are various groups of Jewish people who live in the current land of Israel. So for Muslims, this is evidence, especially at the part in the passage that says, we shall bring you together out of various people. The prophecy at number 8 that's been fulfilled in the Quran according to Muslims is the new transportation systems. There's a verse in the Quran that says, and when the she-camels 10 months pregnant are abandoned. There's another verse that says, and he has created horses and mules and asses that you may ride them, and as a source of beauty, and he will create what you do not yet know. So of course those were used as methods of transportation back in the day, but currently now it just couldn't even enter into the mind of people back then that we would have the kind of transport systems that we do now, like trains and cars. I mean, and the list goes on. What are there? There's bicycles, there's skateboards. Well, they probably had their own version of skateboards back then because they did have wheels and carriages. Jetpacks, we have jetpacks. And as a matter of fact, you know, while we're on the topic of animals as a means of transportation back in those days, there was also a prophecy in the Quran that spoke about zoos. In Surah 81 it says, and when the wild beasts are gathered together. So Muslims look at the modern day zoos that we have, where we have different wild animals and all of that in a mini version of their habitat, and we can just go and we can look at them in cages or in aquariums, whatever it may be. We collect animals in zoos. We collect animals in zoos all together. The prophecy number 6 is also modern communication systems. Surah 81 says, and when various people are brought together. So we have all kinds of various transport systems where we can, you know, come together really quickly. And we also have communication systems like cell phones, satellite systems, the internet, all of that. We can actually come together right now. And, you know, especially now we're in self-isolation, quarantine and all that stuff. We can still have Zoom calls with people. Like, I'm still making these videos in self-isolation headquarters, aka my bedroom. I don't know why I always say it like that. And you guys are seeing it from wherever you are. So again, Muslims see this as a fulfillment of that prophecy because, you know, people are being brought together from all around the world. All right, so I'm just gonna press the brakes a little bit right now because we've seen 5 prophecies that according to Muslims have been fulfilled in the Quran. Now we got 5 more, but before I get into the last 5, just a reminder to hit that like button if you're enjoying these videos. Like, really, like, do it right now. It lets me know which FTD Facts episodes you want to see more of, and also it helps more people see these videos. Other than that, if it's your first time here to FTD Facts, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. This is one of the best ways that you can get educated about our world, culture, religions, because we post videos daily, and I definitely don't want you to miss any of the episodes that we post. We always do our best to try to pack them with as much information as possible possible that would be insightful to you, so you can learn about different people, gain some understandings for yourself, and maybe help you in your interactions and your own private studies. Or if not, at least you'll be entertained and amused with some of the stuff that we talk about here. But speaking of that, let's jump back into these prophecies. At number 5, we have flying and air traffic systems. So we talked about transport systems, we talked about communication systems, but there's a specific verse in the Quran, Surah 51, and by the heaven full of tracks. Ooh! So it's talking about like flying and the whole air traffic system, because yeah, when airplanes go up in the sky, it's not random. They literally have to calculate the distances, or else we would have planes crashing into each other, and that ain't pretty sight. We don't want people crashing, we want people dying. So yeah, this verse here in the Quran is seen as being fulfilled with airplanes and the modern air traffic systems that we have set up in our world today. Next up at number 4, we have oceans linked together. This is also a pretty fascinating one. There's a verse that says, and when the rivers are made to flow into each other, and that's in Surah 81. And another verse says, he has made the two bodies of water flow. They will one day meet. Between them, there is a barrier. They cannot encroach one upon the other. And also on top of that, there's a third verse, and that goes as follows, and he it is who shall merge the two seas together, this palatable and sweet, that saltish and bitter, and between them he has presently placed a barrier and a massive partition. Now we do see the linking of oceans today, especially over in Panama and the Suez Canal. So again, Muslims see this as a fulfillment of that prophecy. And there's also pretty interesting info in those verses, because yes, actually ocean waters, they do have barriers. They never mix in with each other. I actually talked about that in another video, by the way, so I'll do my best to link to it in a playlist. It's going to be in the card section of this episode, or at the very least, I'll link to it down below in the video description section. That one is 10 surprising things mentioned in the Quran. All right, now let's moving on to prophecy number 3 is women's rights. In Surah 81, and it goes like this. And when the female infant buried alive is questioned about, for what crime was she killed? So of course now in our world today, there are so many different movements fighting for female rights, and women are a lot more empowered than they have ever been before. You know, we have women operating businesses, women who are operating households all by themselves, there's no dad in the picture, as well as women just have an overall sense of more confidence, and they have a louder voice in our world than we've seen in generations in the past. And in this verse, specifically talking about how the female infant is questioned about for what crimes was she killed. It really speaks about females, even from childhood, that they're actually going to be advocated for. It's like she's killed or something bad happens to her, but really, what's this all for? Let's take another look at that. Let's see. Let's examine this. Maybe let's hear what she would have to say before we commit those crimes to her again. I'm no scholar, but that's just what I got from the passage and from the sources that I checked. But anyways, if you have more insight about that specific passage, let me know down below in the comments section. Now moving on to prophecy number 2, genetic engineering. And this is from Surah 4. They will alter Allah's creation. Now it's believed that this prophecy directly relates to things like plastic surgery, genetic engineering, as well as cloning. All things that we see happening today. Kind of makes you think, what else are they doing? There's a lot of conspiracy theories too about like all these vaccinations and everything happening, just like altering our human state. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. I'm not gonna get into that right now. I do have one more prophecy though. It is a prophecy about pollution. And specifically in the Quran, Surah 30, it says this, and I quote, corruption has spread on land and sea because of what man's hand have wrought. So we see things like fumes that are spit out of the chimneys from different factories, chemical as well as nuclear waste being dumped everywhere. There's a lot of pollution, especially in cities with a lot of traffic. And you know, we're just punching holes in the Earth's ozone layer with all the pollution that we're spitting out on land, on sea, in the air, everywhere. At least now though, in self-isolation, there's not many cars on the road, and a lot of companies have shut down. So like we're not putting out a lot of pollution as we used to. So let's just hope it kind of stays that way, or maybe we look for other ways so that we don't pollute and destroy the earth, because again, we do share the planet. In any case, guys, those were 10 fulfilled prophecies of the Quran. Be sure to leave your thoughts and comments down below about anything else that I mentioned. Also, my social media links are below in the video description section, so you can follow me over there, shoot me a message, and also I'll leave you with a recommended video at the end screen. So I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go work on some more videos, guys, and I'll see you next time.